Hi, my name is Tristan from the CPAPstore.ca. Today we're going to be looking at the ResMed Airfit N20 mask. The Airfit N20 mask is very similar to the AirTouch N20, except the AirTouch has a foam padding around the cushion for the nose, whereas the Airfit just has the silicone padding. The N20 mask comes in this little box here, also comes with a sizing guide. Now the sizing guide is taking into account the width of the nose, so as you can see, I have a very small nose. Now my nose is small both width-wise and depth-wise, but it's mainly the width that you're going to be looking at in regarding to the cushion. Now, one thing I would like to note with the sizing is that even though I have a small nose and it's small for the sizing guide, I would actually prefer to use a medium with this mask. Now, that is because that I believe that this size guide is generally made for a little more pointier and structural noses, whereas I have a very unique nose. I haven't met too many people with a nose like mine. It's very squishy, okay, it has very little cartilage in it. And what I find is with a nasal mask such as this, rather than a pillow or a cradle, the top will actually press the bridge of my nose and actually squeeze it down, whereas going a size up actually circulates outside of my nose and doesn't squish my nose. Now this is really only possible if you have a flatter face like mine as well, and that's when you're able to size up and still get a good seal. However, if you don't have kind of a weird nose like mine, I do recommend just sticking with the sizing guide. Looking at the mask in depth here, we have this tube. It's on a swivel, so the elbow has a nice little swivel. This part here connects very easily to your machine, like that, and there's nothing to fall out or get stuck in here. Some of them have the quick release at the tubing portion here, but this is just a swivel and it comes out rather easily. The quick release is actually at the front of the mask. As you can see, there are two clips here, or two push tabs. You press them in and you can take it out. So if you're going to the washroom in the middle of the night, very easy just to put it on and off. Okay, on the sides here, we have small magnets, okay, and this is perfect for people with arthritis or maybe any dexterity issues. You won't have to resize the mask very often. However, you might have to resize it every time you wash it. When you wash it, it might change in size, or you're probably going to take off these Velcros to give it a good little scrub. So then I guess that's when you would resize. Other than that, it's a very simple mask. On the back here, we have this basically a lot of padding actually going on the crown and the back of the head, almost down through the neck here, as well as two sections here going around the ear. Nasal masks often are very simple. Here we have a Dreamwear mask, just a nasal cradle. And as you can see, it's very simple. There's like only one portion going around the head, whereas this is really structural. This is really holding in the mask in place. Because of that, for people who might roll around a lot, it might be really good because there's so many portions on the mask that are holding it in place. I don't foresee it kind of getting out of place or being knocked around very easily. Also, in regards to rolling around, it's quite narrow in terms of the face. It doesn't, sit wide. So the frame is actually going with your cheeks. So if this is on a pillow, I don't foresee the nasal portion of the mask being moved at all because there's not a lot of plastic that should be shoved around. Again, with a mask like this where the frame is kind of part of the cushion, if you're moving around, it could, adjust back and forth. With this mask here, I don't foresee that being an issue. So let's just take off this elbow here. Okay, we have some exhalation ports there. There's quite a few, which minimizes basically a single jet of air hitting your partner in the face. It will diffuse it a little bit, so that's great. So I'll just take off these little magnets here. Something to note with the magnets is if you have a pacemaker, you might want to just talk to your healthcare professional and make sure the magnets aren't interfering with that. The ResMed magnets are safe. They are generally very low in terms of the radius of magnetic field. As you might know, Philips masks right now are being recalled because the magnets are too strong. So if you have a pacemaker or any type of medical implant, you might just want to go to our website and click ResMed and only look at the ResMed mask. That way you won't have a recalled mask and you're going to be safe. Taking this off, it's pretty simple. We can also take off the cushion here. So to do that, we just kind of pull it out like that. It's kind of an interesting design. So the front of the frame has plastic that looks like it. So when you put the cushion on, it's kind of hard to tell where the cushion ends and where the mask begins. Okay, so it's back on right now. So I was kind of prying this when I first got the mask. I didn't know which part to pull. So I don't know if you can see this here, but there's kind of a lip here where the frame is, and that's where you can kind of put your finger in and then pry it open. And that's how you get the cushion out very easily. Now, one thing to note is this is a small mask here. You can see the small. These masks don't come in a fit pack, so you're choosing between the small, medium, large, or the for her version. Now, they sell the headgear and the frame and the cushion all separately as well, but the only difference between the sizing is the cushion. So the frame and the headgear are actually the same. Now, if you go on the ResMed website or our website, you're gonna see that if you're just looking at the cushion or the headgear, the SKUs are actually different. The headgear for a large and the small both have different SKUs, so you would think that they are different sizes because one's small, one's large. In fact, they are all actually a standard size, so it doesn't really matter which one you get. What does matter though is the cushion. This is gonna range from small, medium, and large. Again, with the headgear, with the for her version, you'll see a different color, it's lavender. So that headgear is actually smaller. So there's only really two sizes with the headgear. The standard size, which is the blue, and the small size, which is the purple. Now with the cushion, there's a few different types of silicone here. There's a very soft outer, there's a medium soft inner, and then there's a pretty dense silicone here as the last layer, and then you get to kind of the clear acrylic plastic. So they have really thought about which parts of the nose are gonna need different densities of silicone or different softnesses of silicone to give you a good feel. And I do think that they have nailed it. I've looked at all the reviews for this mask, and for a majority of the people, they are saying that they're getting a really good seal. Another thing to add is that the AirTouch, the nasal portion with the foam, is also compatible with this mask. So you can put it on just like that, and it's super compatible. The frame and the headgear is the exact same for the AirTouch and the Airfit. Now I'm going to put this on and show you how it fits. So I'll take off the magnet. One thing I find great about this mask is that the seal is really awesome. I mean, it's pretty obvious to see why. You have, down here securement at the back of the head, on the top of the head, you have various Velcro points here. So no matter your head, no matter your head shape, you should be able to adjust this in a way where you're getting a great seal. The nasal portion itself also goes around the nose very comfortably and also provides a great seal. Some other masks with a more minimal design, there's less things to adjust, but with a mask like this, with all the securement points, I find that it's a really great sealing mask. So if you've had problems finding a nasal mask that seals well, perhaps you're rolling around in bed and you always find that there's a portion of the night where your mask is leaking, the Airfit N20, I believe, is a really great nasal mask. If you are new to CPAP though, I would recommend a more minimal mask. I find that people who are new to CPAP, new to having things on their face, might find discomfort with all this stuff going on. So something like the N30i might be something more geared towards you if you want that minimal feel. The last thing to add with this mask is if we put it on our buddy guy here and we pop it in. It is a front mounted mask. Now I kind of show this demonstration in almost all of our videos because we do have a lot of first time CPAP users. A front mounted mask with the tube going at the nose rather than at the top of the head can have some intrusive elements to it. For example, if we have this guy lying in bed here, his CPAP is here, and he's rolling around, as you can see, it's gonna wrap around him. So might not wrap around and choke him like kind of in this demonstration, but you can kind of get that there would be a significant amount of tube drag with it at the front of the head. Whereas if we have the elbow at the top of the head, like a lot of masks with a swivel, he can move around freely and the hose or the tube doesn't move at all. So that's one thing that you might want to consider with a front mounted versus top mounted mask. The downside, however, to a top mounted mask is often you can hear the air rushing through your ear. So it's kind of picking between two evils. Do you want a tube at the top of the head that's gonna have less tube drag, but you're gonna hear it? Or do you want it at the front of the nose where you might have more tube drag, but it'll be a little more silent? So that might be something you want to consider. I hope this video gave you a little bit of information on the N20. subscribe for more content, and view our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel has reviews on pretty much everything we sell. We're working on getting a video for literally every SKU we have, so it might be a good database for you to consider for future CPAP purchases.